From parties to vacations, doesn't it seem like some people are acting like we're not in the midst of a pandemic? So what's behind this bad behavior? Let's take a look. COVID vigilantes are on the hunt. Their prey, celebrities and partygoers skirting regulations to get their entertainment fix in the midst of a pandemic. The COVID vigilante movement is gaining momentum on social media, and there are even Instagram pages dedicated to outing partygoers who travel to different locales to get their party on. The argument: if these revelers are posting their escapades on social media in the first place, then they're not immune to public outcry and scorn. So is this COVID shaming the right thing to do, or does it fall on deaf ears? Psychologist Dr. Greg Cason joins us with more insight. Dr. Greg, you've openly backed the COVID vigilante movement in a video shared on social media. So tell us, what was your motivation there?
Well, I think sometimes, it's not that I openly back vigilantes overall. It's just that I think that this is something where we're having to put our own view of public health before our personal pleasure. And people who are going out and partying are actually putting personal pleasure before public health. And they have a variety of reasons for doing it. But the people who are calling it out, these so-called COVID vigilantes, are actually trying to call out a problem of behavior that's going on in other people.
You're right on there, Dr. Greg. I mean, there's something wrong with somebody who just chooses to act in a reckless fashion. I mean, is this a form of a personality disorder? And, you know, I'm dealing with it in my own life. I have family around me, friends around me, and it sort of comes in a parcel. They say that the COVID is a conspiracy theory. They're against the vaccine. They're saying that the vaccine is dangerous. They don't want to do that. They don't want to use personal protection. They don't believe in social distancing. You know, I find that so reckless and such self-centered thinking that they must have something going wrong with them.
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think that, yes, there are people who have personality disorders like narcissism who are just going to do what they want and others be damned. But I think there's a bigger problem going on. There was some early research about people who go into quarantine during the first SARS pandemic. And during that pandemic, they actually found that people who received inconsistent messaging developed more PTSD and depression, and actually then started to go against the own recommendations, like staying inside. So it is unfortunate that actions of some people are so heavily affecting actions of others.
Well, Dr. Greg and Dr. Orden, I have personal stories about this too. And it's amazing that I've had friends who I've been friends with for over 2 decades, and their behavior during the pandemic has actually caused me to question our friendship and wondering if it can go on, because they're on social media. They're posting group pictures with multiple different groups of people all in a row. Some of them have gotten COVID. They luckily and thankfully recovered, but then post messages like, why is everybody afraid? This is just like a cult. Dr. Greg, explain to me why someone's pandemic behavior is a lens into who they truly are as a person, because I think I'm seeing that more than ever.
In some ways, I see this as sort of a me versus we. Some of us are more socially oriented. We see ourselves as part of a group, and we want our group to move forward. And some people see it more as their own individual functioning, individual rights, and individual pleasures. But, you know, as a psychologist, I have eternal hope that we can come back together. I think there is a way to start to talk to people and to start to open up to people and get them to start to be flexible. Because right now, the people who are more me-oriented have very rigid beliefs. And rigid beliefs do not give up just because you tell them what to do. In fact, those rigid beliefs become even more rigid.
You've come up with an analogy. You call it LEAP. Greg, can you explain that more for us?
Yes. Well, let's start with how you start to get someone's mind to flex. Is realize they're already dug in, they're already rigid, they're already believing this is a hoax, and no one's going to talk them out of it. So One thing to start with is just ask questions. Don't tell your opinion. They already know. Just ask questions. By asking questions, then you can start to move into the LEAP approach. By the way, when you ask questions, use the reporter's approach: who, what, when, where, and how. Don't ask why. Leave the why out of it. You'll find out. Now, when you move into the LEAP approach, it's basically a 4-letter acronym for listen, empathize, agree, and partner. And this approach was developed for people who were very intractable and didn't want to agree with what you're trying to promote to them, like people who don't believe they need medication, or people who believe they don't have an illness that they actually do. So the first thing to do is ask those questions and then listen. And when you listen, just try to repeat back the words that they're saying so they really understand that you're listening to them, not trying to tell them what to do. The second is empathize. This might be tough. So what you want to do is really try to understand what it's like to be in their shoes. If you have people around you who didn't get that sick, I can see how you might see this pandemic that way. And just try to empathize, how they're feeling. I guess that you feel more emboldened, and I'm feeling a little more scared because I've seen people actually die from this. Then agree. You want to find a point of agreement. There's got to be something. It may be, we're all tired of this. This has gone on for a long time. I am excited about the vaccine, that they're anti-vaccine. It's like, try to find something else. But you try to find a point of agreement. That point of agreement is really your pivot point. And then you want to work at partnering. Partnering is, I am concerned about both of us. I want to be with you. So tell me how I can help you. Maybe one thing is, next time you're bored and you feel like going out, going to a party, maybe you can call me, because I really want to be there for you. Would you call me next time and we can kind of talk during that time? Maybe spend the night talking on the phone, and that might be a way to help us both through those moments.
Well, Dr. Cason, great insight. Once again, thanks for coming on. Great information. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.